How did your parents fail you? My dad missed my graduation because of a job interview. Mom promised he'd make it. I kept checking my phone nervously throughout the ceremony. My heart sank when I looked out into the crowd and couldn't find him anywhere. After I walked across the stage, I grabbed my phone and waited. No texts, no calls, nothing. Mom couldn't even look me in the eyes when I found her afterward. She hugged me too tightly and whispered, "He really tried." My chest burned with anger I couldn't hide. At my graduation party, relatives kept asking where Dad was. Mom bounced between excuses. Traffic, a work emergency, car trouble. I watched her lies grow more desperate with every person who asked. One of my friends pulled me aside. "Are you okay?" I just laughed and said, "He's been doing this since I was 7, because it was true." He missed my championship game where I scored the winning point. My debate finals where I placed first, even my 18th birthday last year. That night, after everyone left, I sat alone staring at my diploma. Mom tried to talk to me, but I cut her off. "Save it," I said, grabbing my keys. "I've heard it all before." I drove to my old elementary school playground and sat on the same swing Dad used to push me on before work consumed him. Before he became nothing more than a voice I sometimes heard coming home at 2 in the morning. Something inside me broke that night. All the anger I'd bottled up for years finally spilled over. I texted him. "Congrats on showing me exactly where I rank on your priority list." Message delivered. When I got home after midnight, Dad's car was finally in the driveway. I found him sitting at the kitchen table with his head in his hands, papers scattered everywhere. Mom sat beside him with red, swollen eyes from crying. He looked up when I walked in. His face was gray with exhaustion, no tie. His shirt wrinkled like he'd been wearing it for days. "I'm sorry I missed your graduation," he said quietly. I stood there with my arms crossed, waiting for the same excuse I'd heard 100 times before. "I thought this interview would change everything," he continued. His hand shook as he slid a folder toward me. Inside was a rejection letter dated that morning. The company had chosen another candidate. Mom finally spoke, barely above a whisper. Dad's company had started layoffs 6 months earlier. He was next. We were only 3 weeks away from losing the house. The bank had already denied their refinancing applications twice. Dad had been driving for Uber on weekends, selling off his prized vinyl collection one record at a time, skipping meals while still making sure dinner was on our table every night. That interview had been his last chance. He begged them to reschedule around my graduation. They refused. It was that day or never. During the interview, he talked about me, my achievements, how determined I was. He thought he'd impress them, then they made him sit in the lobby for hours afterward, giving him false hope. He stayed there until security finally told him to leave. By then, my graduation had been over for hours. That night, while looking for aspirin in the bathroom, I found a pawn shop receipt in his wallet. He had pawned his watch, the one his father gave him before he died, to pay for my graduation gift. The same watch he always promised would someday be mine. When I confronted him about it, he just shrugged and said, "Some things matter more." The next morning, I found him asleep at the kitchen table surrounded by more job applications. His phone showed he'd applied to 17 jobs overnight. He failed me by missing my graduation, but the world failed him even worse. He sacrificed the one moment he could never get back and got nothing in return. Full story on my profile.